Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight for 23 ABC News at 6. I'm Jessica Harrington. Tonight's top stories: COVID-19 testing problems, local health officials speaking out about the issues concerning incomplete data from lab reports, what this means for the community and why it's happening. And reaching every student as the school year quickly approaches, we'll take you to one of the smaller districts in the county, more than 120 years old, and show you how they're dealing with the challenge of learning at a distance. Plus, the new technology being used to disinfect planes, more on how it works and which airline is using it. 23 ABC News at 6 starts now.
Live from downtown Bakersfield, 23 ABC News at 6 starts now.
And a good evening to you. The Public Health Department reporting issues with incomplete data and duplicate test results being sent to them. Tonight, we're getting a clearer picture of what's really going on at public health, testing sites, and local labs that's causing our numbers to be scattered and questioned. 23 ABC's Tori Cooper sat down with the Director of Public Health, Matt Constantine, to get an explanation. She's joining us live tonight from Kern County Public Health with more on what he had to say about why reports are coming in incomplete to public health. Tori?
Yeah, Jessica, before tonight, it was still very unclear where these incomplete COVID-19 test results were coming from. But tonight we do have that answer for our viewers, and we also are getting a better idea about what public health says they are doing to ensure that no one is accounted for more than once. We wanted to know where the incomplete COVID-19 reports were coming from, so we asked Director of Public Health Matt Constantine directly.
Is it the lab or the testing facility or both?
It can be both. It just depends. It's either the provider or the lab.
After saying that the labs and testing sites are to blame for the incomplete reports they have received at Public Health, Constantine explained the two ways in which the test site and the labs are required to report cases to Public Health.
They can do it electronically. And there's a couple ways electronically, or they can do it sending in faxes.
But he says many of these reports that are getting submitted are coming back incomplete, and therefore staff must then go back and make sure that everything is obtained accurately.
They're either missing full names or phone numbers. Sometimes they're missing date of births, which is the key kind of unique factor we use. Ethnicity is oftentimes missed.
He says this double verifying process takes time and slows down their ability to update the dashboard. But he also says staff at Public Health are the ones who are tasked with the job to make sure the person who is positive has not already been reported on the dashboard more than once. He says the hope is that if someone gets tested twice or is reported to Public Health twice via fax or electronically from the lab or a testing site, that staff can spot it and make sure that person doesn't make it to the dashboard and thus skew our county data.
So our hope is that we never publish duplicative data. It's pulled from the beginning. So we'd have to talk to the epidemiologist. I'm not aware of any time that occurs.
He says incomplete reporting has been taking place for a while now, but problems like this started taking longer to solve once they saw an increase in testing at Quest and Westpac testing sites. And when labs got delayed and were mandated by the state to hold samples from healthy and asymptomatic individuals.
And all of a sudden, we saw in batches, the labs start reporting all of this data that caused us to say, wait a minute, the staffing plan is not accurate. We had to redesign it.
He says after they saw they weren't going to meet the new demand, he tripled staffing. And he also touched on why some days our numbers are significantly higher than others, explaining that it all depends on how fast each agency can move and get that information to Public Health.
But it is what is being reported to us on that day. So the coroner sends us stuff, the lab sends us stuff, and it does ebb and flow significantly. The state actually has a role in this in a state database. They have to do certain things to move the cases along, not only us. So we're dependent on the state.
Now, Constantine says the database that our local public health department shares with the state was down again this morning, and therefore our local public staff, health officials were unable to implement our updated data so that they could therefore share the updated information on the COVID-19 cases with us that we usually send to all of your phones with our push alerts. We usually send that around 10 a.m. and you saw that was very different this morning. We were unable to share the update that we usually bring to you with the number of new cases cases as well as deaths right here in our community. Now, Constantine says this is because the state hadn't even done their part yet, and now we are all interlinked in this, and it is affecting our numbers. But what he also says is that he can't even properly staff this facility that you see here behind me because the daily caseload that they are getting is so unpredictable from these testing sites and the labs that they simply have to have everybody working around the clock to address this issue. But for now, we'll leave it there in front of the Kern County Public Health Department in Northeast Bakersfield. I'm Tori Cooper for 23 ABC News, connecting you.
Meanwhile, to help with recent testing and lab reporting problems, surge testing has officially begun in Kern County. Local Congressman and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who helped bring this type of testing here, speaking about why the testing is needed during a virtual press conference held today.
As we know, we have a rise of COVID throughout the Central Valley. And the only way at first to get a handle of this is testing. We have some problems within testing that it's been taking some of the labs back 2 weeks to get the notices back. We want to know those who have it to be able to trace and get a handle on the rise of COVID throughout the Central Valley.
At 2 p.m. today, the Kern County Fairgrounds officially opened up as a surge testing site for COVID-19. McCarthy says the testing site will have results available within 3 to 5 days as opposed to the usual 2 weeks. He also tells 23 ABC Bakersfield is the only city in California getting the surge testing. According to McCarthy, the testing site will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. through August 10th or until all 60,000 tests have been completed. Testing is free and open to anyone of any age, although minors do need a legal guardian with them. Congressman McCarthy says you can make an appointment through his Facebook page. Of course, we do have a link available for you right now at turnto23.com. Now to the latest numbers on local COVID-19 cases. Public Health reporting an increase, but not as high as it has been recently. More than 400 new cases reported today, bringing the total to just over 17,300. That's about 1,400 cases less than what was reported yesterday. Now, according to Public Health, almost 11,000 of the total cases are happening in the 18 to 49-year-old age group. Public Health also announced no new deaths. The total here in Kern County staying at 135. Officials report more than 5,400 full recoveries, with more than 11,000 people isolating at home. More than 104,000, or 84% of all tests, have come back negative. For more information and a full breakdown of the local COVID case numbers, you can visit our website, turnto23.com. Meanwhile, the U.S. reached another bleak milestone in the COVID-19 pandemic today as Johns Hopkins University reports 150,000 Americans have now died from the virus, the most of any nation. All recorded U.S. deaths have come in the span of just under 6 months. The U.S. currently has more than 4.3 million confirmed cases of the virus, the most among all world nations. And new developments tonight, emergency field unit tents continue being installed at local Adventist Health hospitals. Today, tents were put up outside of Adventist Health Bakersfield. As we mentioned before, International Medical Corps is deploying the emergency medical field units as well as personal protective equipment and other medical supplies to support Adventist Health Bakersfield and Adventist Health Tehachapi Valley. The Bakersfield unit will be incorporated as part of the hospital's triage process just outside of the emergency department, separating patients who are symptomatic from those who are not. Turning now, let's bring in 23 ABC's meteorologist Brandon Michaels as we talk about the heat wave we are in. Just no sight really of the for sure end at this point.
Yeah, no, maybe a little bit cooler as we head into next week, but for the near future, it's going to be very, very hot. 103 today. This was the hottest day of the heat wave so far. 69 in LA, 104 in Fresno. Fresno's actually been a little bit warmer than us. Look where that heat is centered, over toward Vegas, 111 there. So temperatures could be warmer. Fortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to see that type of heat, but still very, very hot. 102 right now. 47 is the dew point. It was actually a little bit on the high side for us, and it is 2 degrees warmer than it was this time yesterday. Plenty of sunshine all across Kern County. As far as the overnight forecast here, very slow to cool, just like the last couple of nights. Not really getting comfortable until we get to the morning hours, and we're going to heat right back up tomorrow. We'll talk about that later in the show.
The new school year begins for most districts around Kern County 2 weeks from today, and we understand many of you are agonizing over the upcoming year as 23 ABC helps you go back to school safely. Tonight, 23 ABC's Mike Hart shows us how one small school district in the shadow of Bear Mountain is answering the challenge to make sure every student is connected this fall in a remote area just northeast of Arvin.
The DeGiorgio Elementary School and district offices sit quietly near the end of Buena Vista Boulevard, a student body of just over 200 who are truly learning from a distance.
All of our students live 2 to 3 miles away from school, so we don't have any kids close to our schools. Office and then kindergarten room is next to it.
Terry Hallam is the principal and the superintendent. He's spending his days trying to make sure that all his students are connected this fall.
A lot of our families don't have access to internet, so we were able to use some hotspots for some of the families that didn't have internet.
Hallam says students in 2nd through 8th grade will have Chromebooks, but the biggest challenge comes in staying connected with their families.
Our 2nd through 8th graders will be using Canvas, which is an online learning platform. Our kindergarten and 1st grade students, our teachers will be more in touch with them over the phone. We'll be collecting work, grading work. It won't be like in the spring where it was just a pass-fail or a credit, no credit. It will be actual grades now.
The challenge doesn't end with technology. 98% of the student body receives free or reduced lunches. Last spring, the school was also a meal delivery service, and that will continue this fall.
We had to take them all out to our bus stops and deliver meals. We delivered on average, about 150 meals per day during the spring. Yeah.
The campus remains closed for now, but Hallam is already planning for when kids return to make up for lost learning.
After school tutoring available, we would do that again. So those kids that are struggling more than others, we could extend our day during the week with them.
Whatever it takes, he says, to keep his school moving forward. Mike Hart, 23 ABC, connecting you.
Well, and check this out. United Way and the Blessing Corner are teaming up to hold another backpack and school supply drive this week. Officials with Blessing Corner telling us today, while all the supplies were put together and packed, families need these drives since the COVID-19 pandemic makes it hard to get out and shop.
Yeah, so the partnership with the United Way this year has made a tripling difference compared to what we normally do. And with COVID, it actually is absolutely necessary. There's so many families that have been reaching out to us for one thing or the other. And whether you're driving a Lexus, a BMW, a Volkswagen, or a Civic, need is need. So we welcome everyone and anyone that has a need.
A similar drive was held last week at the United Way office. This week's drive will be on Friday at Sunset Middle School, located at 8301 Sunset Boulevard. Parents will be able to drive up and collect supplies for students from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. There will also be special prizes and gift baskets given to random various families. They are expected to give away at least 700 backpacks to families in need. And we enjoy sharing stories of what districts around the county are doing to help kids get ready for distance learning to start the year. Each day this week, we've been covering a variety of topics in public and private schools, along with homeschooling and distance learning. If you missed any of it, you can find the stories on our website, turnto23.com. Still to come here on 23 ABC News at 6 in sports, meet the local basketball player who's continuing to fight for his dreams and goals as an athlete, despite the COVID-19 pandemic's impact on sports. And keeping passengers safe when they travel, how JetBlue is using UV light to clean planes and fight the spread of COVID-19. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Everybody's talking about the heat because it just won't seem to go away, but we're not surprised. It is Kern County in the middle of summer. Meteorologist Brandon Michaels tracking just how long it's expected to be here, right, Brandon?
Yeah, and the answer to that, the short answer is just a long time. We're going to be hot for quite some time here. It's definitely hot right now. It's 102 in Bakersfield and Lamont, 88 in Tehachapi. Nice that they've fallen out of the 90s now. 101 still up at Kernville, and we're tracking some temperatures as hot as 107 here in Kern County, 107 at China Lake right now. Taking a look at tomorrow's forecast, doesn't really look a lot better. 109 at China Lake, 108 for Ridgecrest, about 102 in Mojave for tomorrow. 89 the high temperature at Fraser Park, 92 in Lebec, and about 103 for your high temperature in Bakersfield. Winds are going to be pretty typical, so no aid from the Pacific moisture or anything like that. We're looking at 20 to 25 in the desert, 5 to 10 for us here in the valley. And as far as air quality, that's not improving either. So not really a lot of good news in the forecast. Still unhealthy for sensitive groups. Actually a tiny bit worse than it was today. 7-day forecast, not a lot of good news there, at least for the first half of the forecast. 103 for Friday and Saturday, 102 for a high temperature Sunday. A little tiny bit cooler towards the end of the forecast, it's possible that we could actually get out of the triple digits by the time we get to Wednesday. As far as the Kern River Valley is concerned, 101 and 102, 100 and 101 through Friday, into the 90s from there. Tehachapi into the 90s through the weekend. Fraser Park in general looking at 80s through the forecast, could get pretty close to the 90s over the next couple of days. Sunshine through the entire forecast. Again, it's just staying hot.
From professional to high school, sports have been uncertain for many over these past 5 months. One local basketball player has already had quite the journey to get to where he wants to go. 23 ABC Sports Director Kerry Osep shares how he wasn't letting anything, not even the COVID-19 pandemic, keep him from moving forward.
Kadar Waller was already comfortable with moving as his family moved from Texas to Bakersfield when he was young. Not only is he about to make that move back to his original roots for the game he loves, but he's also about to make a move to his 4th school since high school. But trust me, he's still got all the moves on the court too. Following up a solid high school career in Bakersfield, Kadar Waller moved to Maryland to continue his training at Mount Zion Prep. An opportunity to become a better basketball player and get seen by college coaches.
Personally, it just helped me grow as a man, and then basketball-wise, it just helped me evolve my game, be more mature, make the right play. So I was just around a whole bunch of people from different areas, but we all had the same goal, was to make it to the next level and the level after that.
Before that, Waller had already transitioned from Liberty to Bakersfield Christian for his final years of high school, giving him the tools to adapt.
Getting out of my comfort zone, going in different environments and adapting and adjusting and just getting something good out of every situation.
For the baller who has always been on the move, both on and off the court, he was eager to find a new landing spot in college. But the COVID-19 pandemic changed his plans.
I had a lot of options going into colleges, but unfortunately with the COVID, I couldn't take any visits and everything, so I felt like the national JUCO route was the best route for me at the time. I'm going to Collin College in Plano, Texas.
The pandemic never changed his passion.
The last month and a half, 2 months, we've been working out pretty much every day, working on my jump shot, trying to change things. It's a blessing. I've been able to put my head down, get in my gym with my best friends and my brother, and really grind.
While he keeps working in the gym until he leaves for Texas on August 18th, he'll make sure to pass any knowledge off to the next Waller in line.
That feels good to see my little brother grow up.
And the next BCHS Eagle, Bentley Waller.
He's tall, he's almost the same height as me, we almost eye to eye, so it feels good working out with my brother, teaching him everything I learned now, and him learning it at a young age, so I feel he's gonna be great. He's #1 in the nation, I feel.
And when I asked Kadar what's to follow Collin College, his answer is simple and kind of predictable.
Wherever, it takes me, I go,
But for sure, you can expect a basketball to be a part of those plans.
It's what I love to do, so I want to eventually be able to take care of my family doing the thing I love.
For 23 ABC Sports, I'm Kerry Osep.
Very cool. There was still ahead the new way to clean airplane cabins. More on the new technology being used by JetBlue to keep its passengers safe from COVID-19 when we return. The airline JetBlue is hoping new technology can keep their planes safe and clean from COVID-19. JetBlue officials say Honeywell's UV cabin system serves up a powerful dose of UV light aimed at killing germs and viruses like COVID-19. The device's wings spread out wide, shining UV light over the seats. Other lights zero in on the overhead compartment. The operator stands behind a UV light shield, and the UV light is so powerful it can be dangerous to others, so the cabin must be empty. The manufacturer, Honeywell, said the device can disinfect a plane in less than 10 minutes.
This is technology that's been used in hospitals for many years, demonstrated to be over 90% effective on all kinds of pathogens, not just viruses, but bacteria, etc.
JetBlue said they're also testing the UV light technology at their check-in kiosks. Check out the sun right now at this hour. It is still shining brightly. A final check of your forecast after the break.
Looking at your forecast again for tomorrow, it's definitely looking hot once again. Up to 84 by 9, into the 90s by the late morning. triple digits by the mid-afternoon, up to about 103 for your high temperature tomorrow. So another very hot day for us, and we're going to stay very hot through at least the weekend. Temperatures finally starting to fall a little bit towards the end of the forecast here, but still 102 by Sunday, 102 Monday. It's not until Tuesday and then into Wednesday where we actually start to see a little bit cooler air moving in, a little closer to average for this time of year. So it's possible we could break out of the heat wave next week, but it's not a guarantee.
All right, well, we will hope for the best. Would love to get out of this heat wave, that's for sure. That's going to do it for us here at 6 o'clock. We'll see you back here for 23 ABC News at 7 and 11. Good night.